Hillary honest or lying? I'll go with the odds-on favorite lying. But we want to hear from you. Go to Facebook.com/Sean Hannity, at Sean Hannity on Twitter. Let us know what you think. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have this evening. Thank you for being with us. We will see you back here tomorrow night. And welcome to Hannity. And tonight, Donald Trump unveils another major policy proposal. He'll join us in just a few minutes to explain. But first, the GOP nominee was in Pennsylvania earlier tonight with his daughter Ivanka, laying out his agenda for child care and family leave. Let's take a look.
Raising children full-time is one of the hardest jobs anyone can do, and it's essential that our policies recognize and honor that reality. As an employer, a mother, and a woman who works both inside and outside the home, these are topics I consider of critical importance. The policy my father is about to outline is one that I am proud to have helped conceptualize, and ensuring its enactment will be one of my top priorities when he is elected come November.
My opponent has no child care plan. She never will, and if it ever evolves into a plan, it'll never get done anyway. All talk, no action. Many Americans are just one crisis away from disaster. A sick kid, a lost job, a damaged home. There is no financial security in our country, especially anymore. But that will change under our pro-family profile. When you just take a look, it's pro-family, it's pro-child, it's pro-worker. These are the people we have to take care of, and this is what I'm going to be outlining tonight. The first part of my child care plan allows for every parent or family in America, including adoptive parents and foster parent guardians, to deduct their child care expenses from their income taxes. That's a first. Families with a stay-at-home parent will be able to fully deduct the average cost of child care from their taxes. It's a big thing. For low-income individuals who have no net income tax liability, we will offer an expanded Earned Income Tax Credit, that's EITC, in the form of a child care rebate. Working parents can get an expanded EITC benefit that equals up to half of their total payroll tax, a major relief for low-income parents.
And here now with much more is 2016 Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump is with us. Sir, how are you?
Very good. Thank you, Sean.
You know, I know you're close to your family, but you really gave Ivanka a lot of credit in terms of pointing out to you the importance of this child care issue. Explain.
Well, it's true. During the time that I've been running, and especially lately since the polls have been so good and people are saying, wow, this could really happen, I've been just inundated with so many women and families that have asked me to do something having to do with child care. And I felt this for a long time, but I guess maybe we weren't quite in the same position we're in right now. And my daughter has felt so strongly, and she's been talking to me about it for a long period of time, long before the campaign started, let me tell you. She always felt it was unfair to moms and to families. And, you know, it's one of the biggest costs of a family. In many cases, it's the single biggest cost for a family. So we unveiled our plan, and I think it's something that really has been well received, as you've probably heard.
Yeah, and you're talking about current child care policies that, as you talk about, hold women back, and your plan is going to help with the cost, excluding the cost from taxes and allowing family choice, incentivizing employers. You said, yeah, it's one of the biggest issues, biggest costs. Is the government in that sense penalizing moms right now?
Oh, right now they are. I mean, right now moms don't know what to do. They're besides themselves. They can't do anything. And, you know, you mentioned the word incentive and you mentioned the word choice. we have sort of everything in there, and it's going to be a great thing. I think the moms and families, it's, you know, beyond anything, families are going to really see something very special here, Sean. And we've spent a lot of time on it. This is complex stuff. We spent a lot of time on it. But it's something where they're going to really be tremendous beneficiaries. And the children are going to be the big beneficiaries when you get right down to it. But the families and the moms are very happy.
You know, a lot of times you have explained to me that you want to eliminate Obamacare, and you want choice, and you want competition.
Right.
And you like health savings accounts as part of your proposal.
I do.
And you're talking about child care savings accounts. So you're really talking about bringing in the free market here and incentivizing from a tax so it's not going to cost as much in terms of government money. Is that correct?
Well, that's true, and frankly, they can have some money left over when the child reaches a certain age, and, you know, they have money left over, and they can use that for college, they can use it for what they have to use it for, and it's like an incredible, it's incredible what this does. And it's going to be great for our government, it's going to be great for families, it's going to be great for, I think, everybody. There's just no downside.
Let me talk about Hillary's health, and while we're talking about it, I'm going to play a slow motion of her from Sunday, where she's being walked to her vehicle, leaving early. You can see an aide is holding her. Then as she stumbles, a Secret Service agent, it looks like, grabs her other arm, and then she totally collapses. She admits that she has collapsed last night. She admitted a few times before. Her campaign is claiming that except for pneumonia, she's completely healthy. It took them a long time to get to the pneumonia excuse. Polls showed today that, in fact, you know, most voters actually doubt she's telling us the truth about it. DNC is planning to meet to consider Hillary's replacement. Cokie Roberts and Don Fowler, former DNC chair, said, hey, people are talking about maybe replacing her. What is your overall view of her health, the DNC, her as a candidate as it relates to her health?
I really have no view. I just hope she gets better and she can get back out. I have no view. I just don't want to get involved with it. I hope she's going to be fine and she'll continue onward. We're doing well, and you know, I enjoy the competition, and we have a big debate coming up in 2 weeks, as you probably have heard. A couple of people have heard about that one. It's going to be a biggie.
Yeah, I think we read about it somewhere.
She does too.
I think this is going to be bigger than any pay-per-view event.
You might have heard.
I might have heard. I'm just in the news business. What the hell do I know? I know. I want to hold up this for you. It was on our sister network, Fox Business. This is Hillary. Every X represents a day that she had off in August. I can't think of a day that you didn't even have a rally, or a day that you actually took off. Maybe you did. But that's a lot of days. What do you once said that Jeb Bush was low energy. With that schedule, she's making Jeb Bush look like the Energizer Bunny. What do you...
Well, I can only speak for myself. We are going from early in the morning till late in the evening. I get home sometimes at 1 o'clock in the morning. I get, oftentimes you stay over in different locations. And I thought I would have Sunday off for the first off time in a long time, months. And I just found out we're doing a rally on Sunday, and I think it's going to be in Pennsylvania. I hope it's going to be in Pennsylvania because we're doing really well there. We have like a great opportunity, I think, in Pennsylvania. So we'll see what happens. But in any event, we're not having any time off. And it's really a dart to the finish. We'll see what happens, but it's a dart to the finish, and the polls have gone up amazingly well. You see the kind of numbers that are coming out, and people are liking what we have to say, and I think we're going to be victorious. We'll see on the 8th, November 8th.
There's a lot of games still left to play, but it's going to go. You're right. You got 56 days left. I mean, we're in the end stretch here. Well, let me stay on the health issue for a second. You said you're going to take a complete physical and reveal that. Hillary last night was complaining you didn't reveal your taxes.
I've actually done that.
Yeah, and you're going to reveal more. Okay. But on the other hand, she's given all these speeches to all these Wall Street firms and insurance firms, and she won't release the text of those speeches. What do you think is most important for the public to have in terms of what should be revealed by candidates?
Well, I think her speeches are important, but I think her emails are much more important. 33,000 emails were deleted and acid washed, and the machines, the iPhones or whatever she was using, were whacked and destroyed with hammers. I would say there's something going on there. So I always put the 33,000 plus 15,000 more that they found. But all of these thousands and thousands of emails, definitely, that's number one by a factor of 20. And also, I think the speeches would be revealing. But I have given, as you probably have heard many times, and as you know, the FEC tremendous, about 100 pages worth of documents that spell out things very, very strongly as far as financials are concerned. Many, many companies, I guess close to 500 companies, tremendous liquidity, tremendous values in terms of just about any way you could look at it, cash flows. It's a great company. I built a great company. You learn much more from that than you learn from than you learn from a tax return. You really learn very little from a tax return. Now, I'm being audited. It's a routine audit. I've been audited every year, I think, for 15 or 16 years, which I think is unfair because I have friends that are very rich and they don't get audited. I get audited every year. But I have a routine audit going, and when that's completed, I'll release. But until that time, I'm not going to do that. I'd be foolish to do that.
It seems that there's a strategy that has emerged by the Clintons. I mean, if 55% of the individuals she met as Secretary of State, when that AP article came out, immediately the ad came out claiming you were a member of the Klan, etc. Even saying "Make America Great."
Can you imagine that one?
Yeah, okay. And then even making America Great.
Can you imagine that one? Yeah.
Bill Clinton is saying this thing. It seems that every time she gets in trouble, and this is where the whole basket of deplorables comments come in. I wanted to get you to talk about that. You brought your supporters on stage yesterday to say, "Excuse me, you're calling us deplorable?" Why do you think she's doing this?
When she said basket of deplorables, you couldn't even believe it. I'll tell you what, I heard the whole thing and I said, I don't believe it. And then I said, run it back, let me hear it. I thought it was so terrible a statement to make. And I called up some people. I said, did she really say that? And is it as bad as I think? And they said, no, Mr. Trump, it's worse. And they really, all of a sudden, the Twitter sphere went crazy, as you know, and you went crazy, and everybody on television went wild.
Thanks a lot.
Even people that are,
I love being told I'm crazy,
but even
I did. I think.
I meant crazy in the sense, obviously, but. No, I understand that. And a lot of people are in that basket, and a lot of people are in that basket, and it's very unfair. It's a horrible characterization, and even people that support her say, wow, what a mistake. And that was her 47% moment. I think it was far worse. I mean, frankly, I think this was far worse. And let's see what happens. But there are a lot of very angry people. We have people right now that I'm going to be seeing in a little while, a roundtable, and they're very upset. I mean, people are really upset that she would feel that way because, that's really her true feeling. You understand? That's her true feeling.
She revealed it. And this is my question. The follow-up to that is she said they're irredeemable, percentage of them, but she also said this is racism and sexism and homophobia and Islamophobia and xenophobia. And I'm thinking, now, wait a minute. Isn't this the same Hillary Clinton that took money from the UAE and Oman and Kuwait and the Saudis? The Saudis, for example, treat women horribly. They put gays and lesbians to death. They persecute Christians and Jews. She took tens of millions of dollars between the library and the foundation. She's never criticized them. And the very thing that she is accusing you of, I would argue she's guilty of. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think that her statement really speaks for itself. There is no justification. She tried to apologize, and the apology wasn't a very good one. It probably got her into more trouble. It's been a really bad statement. I think probably the worst in the political season of anybody, and that includes a lot of different people that tried to run for office and started to run for office. It was a bad statement.
And when we come back, we'll have more with Donald Trump, and also later tonight.
It is something that has occurred a few times over the course of my life, and I'm aware of it.
Hillary Clinton raising new concerns about her health after saying she's gotten dizzy and passed out a few times. Our medical A-team experts will join us next with reaction, plus a shocking new report reveals Clinton's staff did not take her to the hospital on Sunday because, well, they wanted to keep her illness from you, the American people. We'll have all the details and much more tonight right here on Hannity.
Live from America's News headquarters, I'm Jackie Ibanez. Hillary Clinton will rejoin the campaign trail on Thursday following her bout with pneumonia. Clinton's illness forcing her to cancel several campaign events this week. She was diagnosed with pneumonia Friday, but kept quiet about it until a video showed her stumbling and being held up by aides after leaving a 9/11 memorial service in New York City. Former Israeli leader Shimon Peres suffering a massive stroke. His office confirming he's in a drug-induced coma right now. 93-year-old Peres was president of Israel until 2 years ago. He also served 3 terms as the country's prime minister. He won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1994 for a deal with the Palestinians. And in 2012, President Obama awarded him the Presidential Medal of Freedom. I'm Jackie Ibanez. Now back to Hannity for all of your headlines. Remember to log on to foxnews.com.
Well, my opponent slanders you as deplorable and irredeemable. I call you hardworking American patriots who love your country and want a better future for all of our people. It's this attitude of arrogance that explains why Hillary Clinton made 13 phones disappear, including with a hammer, so the FBI couldn't see them, and why she bleached her emails after a congressional subpoena. That's after the subpoena came. This isn't before. That's after the subpoena came. This is a scandal that threatens national security and that involves a multi-million-dollar pay-for-play scheme between the Secretary of State and her foundation. Whether it's her emails, her disasters in Iraq, Libya, and Syria, or her failures on the economy, of which it's been disastrous, Hillary Clinton lacks the judgment, temperament, and moral character to lead this country. She does. You know it. Everybody knows it.
Right, that was Donald Trump going after Hillary Clinton at a rally in Iowa earlier today. And we continue now with the 2016 Republican presidential nominee, Donald Trump. Let me ask you about the polls. The UPI, LA Times had you up by 3 nationally. It seems like every single state that matters is now highly competitive. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Iowa, Ohio, Florida, North Carolina. As you look at these swing states and look at the polls, you have cut her margin in the Real Clear Politics average by 7 points. It's now a 2-point race, a statistical dead heat. It's a statistical dead heat in the swing states. What do you see happening on the ground, and how do you convert those into your states?
Well, right now I'm in Pennsylvania, and I'll tell you, the crowds we're getting here are unbelievable. But everywhere. In Ohio, we're doing record crowds, literally record crowds. Florida, I think we're 4 or 5 points up, I'm hearing. And we're going to spend a lot of time in Florida. I've already spent, and it's my second home. We're doing really well in Florida and doing pretty well everywhere. New Hampshire, we're even. Iowa, we're doing great. Just left Iowa. We're 4 points up in Iowa. So, I mean, we are really going and working very hard. And, I'm sometimes making 4 or 5 stops a day and sometimes 6. And during those stops, I'm making speeches for the most part. And it's been pretty amazing. It's been a lot of fun, actually. A lot of work, but a lot of fun.
I want to ask you this. Walk us through your debate prep. You said you're not standing next to some stranger at a podium and practicing. And I don't know if that's actually the right thing for you to do anyway. You've done enough interviews. You know where you stand on the issues. How important do you view these debates? And bring us inside Donald Trump prep for debates, because I would argue Hillary has one goal. Hillary wants to piss you off. She wants to aggravate, agitate, irritate, upset, and hurt your feelings and make you mad, so then she could say, see, he doesn't have the temperament to be president. Do you agree with that?
Well, I don't think she has a temperament, and I've been saying it for a long time. I don't think she's fit to be president, and I certainly don't think she has the temperament. And look, we're going to have debates. We'll see how it goes. I frankly would like to have no anchor or moderator, because I think it's all gamed. We had a skirmish the other day on NBC, and I thought Matt Lauer did an excellent job, but he was criticized horribly because everyone said, and all the polls said, even the NBC poll said, I won that debate, or whatever you want to call it. I guess it was a forum, a town hall forum, and they all said I won, and because of that, they went after Matt, and that means that whoever is hosting now, in this case it's Lester Holt, who I think hopefully would be fair, but I think there's too much pressure on him. I really believe that it's very unfair what they're doing because they're gaming the ref, so to speak. You know, like Bobby Knight, who's the greatest. That Bobby Knight would be screaming at the referee all night, and then all of a sudden in the last play, the referee won't make the bad call against him. It's so, you know, they have a real system going, and I think it's unfair. I don't want to have a moderator. I want to just
I think it would be a great idea. It'd be very interesting.
Talk and do whatever we. I think it would be, you know, Lincoln did that with Douglas. That was a pretty good debate. So they say.
That's a gold standard.
But I didn't quite make it. I would have loved to have seen it. By the way, that would get maybe better ratings than this one. Right?
Lincoln, and actually, I think
that might top it.
That might top it. Is there anything that she will say? Do you agree with me? She's going to try and aggravate you. Is there anything that she would say that you wouldn't be prepared for that would irritate you?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what she's going to do. I don't know what her attitude is going to be. I will treat her with great respect unless she treats me, you know, in a certain manner, in which case that will be the end of that. But I'm certainly starting off with the you know, the feeling that I'm going to treat her with great respect, which is, you know, I hope we can talk about policy and talk about certain things. I am not looking to go in and treat her with disrespect.
Well, I would argue she can't talk about her record. She can't talk about Obama's economic record, so that leaves the personal. Mr. Trump, always good to see you. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much, John.
And up next tonight, right here on Hannity.
Why keep it a secret?
Well, I just didn't think it was going to be that big a deal.
Well, really, just a little pneumonia. What a big deal. Why talk about that? Anyway, Hillary claims the reason she kept this pneumonia diagnosis a secret from you, the American people, is, well, she didn't think it was a big deal. Our medical experts are here with reaction. That's next. This and more tonight as Hannity continues. And welcome back to Hannity. Now, Hillary Clinton is getting slammed by pundits and even some in the mainstream media for trying to hide her pneumonia from you, the American people. So why is Hillary Clinton being so secretive about her health and maybe even lying? Well, during a phone interview, Clinton said that she just didn't think it was a big deal. Really? Collapsing? Not a big deal? Pneumonia? What's this?
I know you passed out, hit your head back in 2012, which led to the concussion. How often has this happened?
Oh, I think really only twice that I can recall. You know, it is something that has occurred a few times over the course of my life, and, you know, I'm aware of it. I could, you know, feel how hot and humid it was. I felt overheated. I decided that I did need to leave.
Why keep it a secret?
Well, I just didn't think it was going to be that big a deal.
Here now with analysis, Fox News medical correspondent Dr. Mark Siegel, as well as podiatric surgeon and former research fellow at Georgetown University, Dr. Kelly Powers. Good to see you both. All right. Now, we do know last night she admitted she collapsed not once, but a few times. All right, that's not normal. Now, she told the FBI that, in fact, she couldn't even remember being briefed because of a concussion that she suffered. That would be a pretty severe concussion if you can't remember a briefing about cybersecurity, right?
That's right.
Now, they talked about, we know that she's on an anticoagulant, and that's known as Coumadin, prescribed often. We know they said it was deep vein thrombosis, but it's really more than that. Isn't it more venal cerebral thrombosis, as it was below the right ear? Wouldn't that be a more accurate description? And that was all made public?
So, Sean, there's no doubt that she has an extensive medical history. There's a lot going on here for over a decade. She has a history of 2 DVTs, a CVT, which is what you're referring to, this cerebral venous thrombosis, and which can cause memory loss, confusion, dizziness, kind of the same symptoms as a concussion, which is strange because, you know, you're looking at this differential diagnosis. It could be a CVT, and it could be the concussion. You know, there's obviously a lot going on with her medical health.
And we know she's had blood clotting, and we know, would you call this a cerebral vascular collapse? Somebody used that phrase today. Would that be fair?
You know, it is really hard to speculate. Again,
it's
I mean,
possible,
the whole issue here is that her medical records aren't out there.
She lost all control and collapsed. Fair statement?
Well, it looked like she was
collapsed.
Something was happening on that video where she was.
Come on, I'm playing the video. She collapses. Dr. Siegel.
I want to say this. 2012, she had a severe blow to the head, serious concussion. She had the blood clot, sinus venous thrombosis, transverse sinus thrombosis, actually. She was put on lifetime Coumadin. Whatever is causing her to fall, Sean, and possibly black out, and I look at that video, it is a video. I don't have her in person. I wasn't there. It looks to me like she either fainted or almost fainted. But here's the point.
She certainly collapsed.
Certainly, I think probably fainted. fainted. Here's the point. If you're fainting, you can hit your head. And if you hit your head and then you're on blood thinners, you could have a bleed. I'm not saying any of those things are going to happen, but that's one of the main reasons we want to see the record.
Listen, I've had my bell rung a lot. I was a hockey player. We didn't have helmets the way they do today. And, you know, I know what it's like to be knocked out. I know what it's like to have a concussion. I know what it's like to have my bell rung. And I'm thinking, okay, but I remember everything that happened. I mean, for her, do you think that was an excuse, what she said to the FBI?
I don't know whether that was an excuse or not, but again, in 2008, we went after John McCain with a witch hunt saying he had a melanoma. How do we know he won't have another one as president? The media demanded 1,100 pages.
He was given a 1 in 4 chances of surviving 8 years.
Exactly. So everyone was putting him in the grave before, and here he is running for senator again at 80. But here's the point, Sean. I thought we had established a criteria. I call it in the Wall Street Journal the McCain Protocol. If you're 70 or more, or you have a significant health history, you have to pony up your entire health records, and at least select members of the media or an independent board of physicians gets to review it. Why shouldn't we have that now?
Listen, they're all Dr. Feelgoods out there, too. And with all respect to your profession, if you want to find the doctor that's going to give you the painkillers, that's going to give you the anti-anxiety medicine, and that's going to give you what you want, you're going to get it. If you want the doctor that's going to say, oh, he's healthy, and when you're not, for an insurance policy, I guess you can go doctor shopping for that, too. But here's the thing. If she has all of these incidents where, you know, venal, cerebral thrombosis, then we've got the Coumadin, then we've got the concussion, then we've got all these other issues, the coughing, the collapse. Is this a neurological issue?
Well, I think that a neurological workup is absolutely paramount. I mean, that's definitely what needs to be done. And, you know, besides releasing all these medical records, neurological workup for sure, 100%. You know,
her campaign says, except for pneumonia, she's fine.
By the way, pneumonia, I have to tell you, everyone's saying, oh, pneumonia, I had pneumonia, you had pneumonia. When I see pneumonia, I have to check a chest x-ray. I've got to see
if it's bacterial pneumonia, it can kill you.
Yeah, now this seems to be a mild case, but nobody should be waving off pneumonia in anybody, especially an elderly person.
If you got a call, or if you got a call from any of your patients that somebody with this history that we're discussing here had a collapse like this, would you recommend a hospital? Would that be 100%
yes, 100%.
Protocol? 100%.
100%. I mean,
100%.
If I'm at the mall and someone collapses,
I wasn't there.
Calling 911, they're going to the hospital.
I wasn't there. It would tend to be my standard of care as well.
Yeah.
Yes, to get them seen right away.
Yeah. If it was me, yes. I would. If anybody I knew, I would take them straight to the hospital. Right. It's not normal for people to collapse.
Better be safe than sorry.
By the way, and it was 77 degrees and breezy. It wasn't hot.
Especially if you have pneumonia Friday and you collapse and maybe black out on Sunday. You go to the ER and get looked at.
Yeah.
And again, her DVT history, so she has extensive blood clot history. DVTs can lead to a pulmonary embolism.
Is there a chance she might have had a TIA, a stroke in her history? Is there a chance that there's something else neurologically going on? Is there, for example, WikiLeaks had the research into some drugs that can be used for Parkinson's. Is that a possibility? MS a possibility?
Yeah, Sean, all of this is a possibility, and the point is that we don't have her medical records. We don't know. We don't have a neurological workup, so it's hard to speculate.
I think what I would emphasize here is that she's hit her head before. She has a blood clot. She's on lifetime Coumadin. She's now having fainting spells, dehydration. There's something going on here, something underlying that would make me want to see her records. If not possible, examine someone like that, but certainly her records.
Guess based on what you know, your best guess.
Well, I don't guess.
I'm not going to guess. Sean, we know
Coming up. All right. A shocking report by the New York Post actually reveals that after Hillary collapsed on Sunday, her campaign, they didn't want to take her to the hospital, all in an effort and attempt to hide her condition from you, the public, and also tonight.
My wife and I represent non-deplorable people.
Donald Trump, he responds to Hillary Clinton's basket of deplorables comment by bringing his supporters on stage. That and more tonight as we continue. Straight ahead. And welcome back to Hannity. So the New York Post, they ran an article entitled, quote, "The Clinton team avoided ER to conceal details of her medical treatment." Now, that's not all. According to a report in The Hill, members of the Clinton camp are not happy over all the secrecy, saying, quote, one ally described the string of events that culminated in Clinton leaving a September 11th memorial early as, quote, self-inflicted expletive nightmare. Here with reaction, former White House press secretary under George W. Bush, Ari Fleischer, and Trump campaign senior advisor A.J. Delgado. It is interesting, Ari, in a lot of ways, there is some truth to that. But I think it's deeper than that. I think like everything else with the Clintons, you can't trust them. They're not honest. They're not forthcoming. And I sense that her health issues go a lot further than what they're telling us publicly. Thoughts?
Well, I'm not in a position to know what her health issues are, but I would say that if she did have something where it was serious enough, the Secret Service training is to take her immediately to medical care. And they have a pre-designated spot to take her.
They did.
Know
It was
where the
Bellevue
hospital
Is. That was where
That's right.
But according to one report, though, she overrode them. In other words,
well, that's what we'll never get to the bottom of, whether that's true or not, whether she could override them or staff did. But I strongly suspect if she had been passed out in that car, there is no way the Secret Service would allow themselves to be overrode.
Ari, you could look at this video.
She
collapsed. She literally fell. If they didn't prop her up.
That's absolutely true.
That is absolutely.
But the question, if she was passed out in that car, the Secret Service would have overrode everybody on the staff and taken her to a hospital.
But to me, it's a distinction without a difference, though, because if she collapses, she collapses.
Okay, now let's talk about that, what happened on the outside of the car. The press coverage of this, Sean, has been absolutely ridiculous. They're using every word they can. Helped into the vehicle. She was unsteady. If it wasn't for the people there, she would have collapsed on the ground.
That's right.
Instead, she collapsed into the arms of the Secret Service and the staff. I don't know why they won't use the word collapse. Is what bothers me the most about these things is there seems to be a protective cocoon too many in the media put up with their word usage. And we all know if that video hadn't come out, none of us would be here talking about it because none of us would know about it.
Yeah, AJ, look, I think this goes to the heart of, one of Donald Trump's biggest arguments, crooked Hillary, lying Hillary. It seems to all, the narrative plays out every day almost now.
Right, dishonesty, the lack of transparency. This is a recurring theme we see. With what happened, it's not so much her health as it is the cover-up. And first they said it was overheating, then they said it was pneumonia. They're not giving it to us straight. They're not releasing the medical records. They're not releasing her Wall Street speech transcripts that people have been asking for months. We still don't know exactly who donated to the Clinton Foundation. It's just a recurring pattern of dishonesty and a lack of transparency.
If anybody you knew that was 68 years old with her history, which is fairly comprehensive in terms of a health history, I mean, the deep vein thrombosis was actually venal cerebral thrombosis because it happened, below her right ear. So this is a cognitive issue, a neurological issue in many ways. I don't think that any such person, and then also one that has pneumonia, that collapsed. The only reason I can think of her not wanting to go to the hospital is because she would have to reveal the truth about her medical condition.
And listen, that's something that the American public deserves to know. We saw this with John McCain and how the media treated him and his health issues.
They predicted he'd be dead. He wouldn't. His chances of survival.
They said it was 1 in 3. Had Matt Damon on TV going, the odds are he's going to drop dead in office. I'm just telling it like it is. Check the tables. So why is this not an issue that the American public has a right to know? We keep hearing about Donald Trump's taxes. That's not going to affect me. What's going to affect me is whether Hillary Clinton has the strength and the stamina to put in this very hard work for the next 4 years if she's elected.
Ari, George W. Bush, who you worked for, was in phenomenal shape. I mean, he could run mile after mile after mile. He worked out regularly. He's a very aggressive biker out on the bike trails. If you were with him and he collapsed like that, I suspect, knowing you as well as I do, that you would have insisted on the hospital.
Well, it did happen. He collapsed in the absolute privacy watching the Miami Dolphins football game in the playoffs January of 2002, eating a pretzel. He passed out, hit his head, and fainted. Nobody had to know about it. But within minutes, I got a phone call from Andy Card, the chief of staff. He told me about it. The president then called me. It was a Sunday afternoon. It happened at 5:30. And before 8 o'clock was even hit, I had organized a press conference telephone call, and I had the White House physician on the phone with everybody, with all the press.
Because
you have an obligation
you're actually
to
honest. You're actually truthful, and he doesn't have underlying medical conditions in that particular case. That was just an unfortunate accident.
But nobody would have even known about it probably, but it was still the instinct of the White House. You have to reveal, you need to say, and we should, and we did.
Right.
Now, look, it's always a pressure. There's always strain on the candidates. And she, when these strains happen, opts for secrecy.
She took off more days in August than she worked, Ari. I mean, with all due respect, I worked 10 times harder than her. Serious. I mean, I know that Donald Trump said that Jeb Bush was low energy. Compared to her, he seems like the Energizer Bunny.
Well, my point here is that every time she faces a fork in the road, she takes the wrong fork. And she goes for secrecy. She has this penchant to do it, and it's hurting her. She's turned what could have been a nothing health issue into an honesty issue, and that's where she's always vulnerable.
By the way, AJ is now with the Trump campaign. It's good to see you.
It's
Congratulations.
a great honor. Thank you.
And up next tonight, right here on Hannity.
My wife and I represent non-deplorable people.
Donald Trump, he brings his supporters on stage to hit back against Hillary Clinton's basket of deplorables comment. That and more tonight on Hannity. Straight ahead.
These are not deplorable people, that I can tell you. Come on over.
My wife and I represent non-deplorable people.
As a black female American, I say let's get out and support Donald Trump.
I am a wife, a mother, I work full time, and I am voting for Donald Trump. And Mrs. Clinton, you can go home.
I'm a pastor. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to pray for and vote for the next President of the United States of America, Donald Trump.
Donald Trump at a rally in North Carolina bringing some of his supporters on stage, who Hillary Clinton, of course, labeled a basket of deplorables late last week. Here with reaction, Fox News contributor Rick Grinnell and the senior pastor. He's actually my pastor now, and I'm going to preach from the pulpit of his church. He, of course, is with the New Spirit Revival Center, CEO for the National Diversity Coalition for Trump, Reverend Darrell Scott. Reverend, that's going to be the worst Sunday. You might lose all of your parishioners after that, but I'm going to bring it straight from the heart.
The anointing is going to hit you, and then you're just going to bring it, and God is going to move. I promise you.
Okay, now, but I'm deplorable. Now, by the way, all have sinned and fallen short, so I guess we could make the case that everybody's deplorable, but that includes her irredeemable husband, because she used that term as well. But she really used it to say people are racist and sexist and homophobic, the same garbage we've been hearing now for weeks. What are your thoughts?
Well, all of the racism and the vile and the venom and the insult that I've received during the course of this campaign has come from Hillary's supporters. I mean, she found herself at a fundraiser, she relaxed, let her guard down, and her real feelings came out. But the truth be told, man, honest to God, she's the one that's deplorable. Her lies are deplorable. Her health seems to be deplorable. Benghazi was deplorable. The email scandal is deplorable. What the DNC did to Bernie Sanders is deplorable. In fact, the whole darn campaign is deplorable.
And you know what? And it's frankly been full of hate, too. I mean, she just lies with abandon. Rick, I thought liberals were the tolerant group. Don't they always claim that they have a monopoly of compassion? You know, I was listening to her talk about sexist and misogyny and racist, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, you're describing the countries that treat women horribly, that kill gays and lesbians, that persecute Christians and Jews, and you take millions from them and don't criticize them. So I was thinking, guilty as charged to herself.
Yeah, look, we have a real problem with liberal intolerance. And I think what Hillary Clinton just did by calling millions of Americans deplorable, what she is doing is she's saying that millions of people who have a different political view than what she has should be rejected. And isn't that the definition of being intolerant? I mean, here we have a candidate. Hillary Clinton was telling us that she was going to be the uniter. Just 2 weeks ago, she delivered this speech where everything was going to be positive. She wasn't going to take the low road. And then she's the one who fingers tens of millions of people and says, because I disagree with your political decision, you're deplorable. I think, look, this is a big problem for her politically.
I think so, too.
She cannot
But you know what?
outrun it. This is going to be a commercial over and over.
But, Pastor, you know, Obama did the same thing when he talked about people from the Midwest, you know, clinging to God, guns, their Bible, religion. And the people of the Midwest still voted for him in Pennsylvania.
That seems to be the modus operandi of the Democratic Party, that whoever is not in agreement with them, they slander, they insult, they degrade, they denounce, and then they feign innocence when they do it or act as if they have a reason for doing it. I mean, the Hillary Clinton campaign today has been trying they put her comments in that washing machine and try to spin it and clean it up. Now they're trying to identify this deplorable segment of society. And, they're asking the Trump supporters or asking Mike Pence, well, do you think this one is deplorable? Do you think that one is deplorable? You can't clean this up. You said it. The Bible says out of the abundance of a man's heart, the mouth speaks. She spoke out of her heart. And that's the way she really feels about anybody that doesn't support her.
Rick, we'll give you the last word.
Yeah, look, I have a real problem with this growing intolerance from the left because it's an issue I think that we all look at and we think we're Americans. We're supposed to not be pushed into identity politics. Our leaders in Washington, D.C. are not supposed to tell us that we all are in different boxes and they take us out to kind of parade us around and then put us back in these boxes. At the same time, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama are trying to say we are one America, but their language is extremely divisive. It's identity politics at its worst, and we know where it comes from. It's not going to be something that benefits Hillary politically.
Guys, thank you. Pastor, you sure you want to give that pulpit to me?
We're going to have a wonderful time that day.
You sure you're going to hand that pulpit over to me? You sure you want to do that?
Hey, wait a minute. I heard you got an honorary doctorate of divinity anyway from Liberty University.
That's absolutely true.
Then bring it, Dan.